My name is Jeff. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. We haven't done an episode of Pizza Punk in quite some time. I hope the microphone sounds okay. I'm in a sort of weird clandestine situation where my Wi-Fi is shoddy, and so I've not been able to broadcast regularly with my live schedule. But I got to tell you, I'm a little bit nervous right now. I'm super excited for this show. I'm going to give this a little bit of an introduction, even though you already know who's here because you see the episode. You searched on YouTube and you found the episode, and that's why you're here in the first place. So let's go back a little ways. The year is probably 2000. It's 2009, fall of 2009. I'm living outside of the U.S. at the time. Somebody sends it's an EP. It's a free EP download. This is at the height of digital downloads, like digital downloading, yada yada yada, that kind of thing. And it's a free Halloween EP from this band called Zombina and the Skeletons. And up to this point, in the genre of whatever you want to call it, I don't know. This is actually a separate side topic because Zombina and the Skeletons is not so easy to categorize. They have a very eclectic sense of musicality, but we'll get into that in a second. Up until this point, when I think of like horror music in general, whatever you want to call it, it really begins and ends with the Misfits and Sam Hain and whatever for me at that time in 2009. Zombina and the Skeletons is my first foray into other types of music that might fall into those similar musical pools, if you will. And I heard this song Dracula's Tango, and I'm going, what in the fuck is this shit? It's awesome. I'm on a bus, and it's just it's like this thing. And then the next song, and I'm going, oh, there's a theme here, because now they have a song about Strangelove, Dr. Strangelove, I guess. That's what this is, right? And then there's a song called Show Me Heaven. I'm going like, wow, it's just like, it's jumping all over the place. And I was hooked. I went down a rabbit hole and I got very deeply heavy into their music. And I got to tell you, I have wanted to chat with these cats for a very, very long time. Between logistics, it's very hard to make things happen in general. And I'm so grateful that they're here. They're in the waiting room right now. They're in the special green room in the studio away from home. And I'm going to bring them in right now. I felt like they needed a proper introduction. This band doesn't get talked about enough, doesn't get enough love. They do a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of different auxiliary bands, side project bands, other bands, main bands, yada, yada, yada. And without further ado, the nucleus, the core of Zombina and the Skeletons, Zombina and Doc, welcome to the show. Oh, wait, I don't like that. Let's change it. No. Oh my God, what's going on? No. Yeah, yes, good. Hey, what's up? Hi, guys. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Oh, man.
How are we?
So let me ask a question. First and foremost, because I when I read about you guys, when I first was like, okay, so what's up with this band? I'm like, holy crap, they're from Liverpool. And I'm going, and I want to know from your perspective, is it like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, we're from the same town as the Beatles, and you hear that a lot, yada yada yada, or is it like something that you guys are into? Tell me about that.
I just always found it cute. I'm quite proud of it. I think it's the Beatles are the obvious one, but there's just like tons of amazing bands. There was like a big explosion in the 80s, wasn't there? And I just always found it, quite nice. What about you, Doc?
Yeah, I also found it quite nice. I think it's quite a lot of people in Liverpool are in bands. It's like a cultural thing. Like especially when we were kids, like almost everyone we knew was playing in a band or would know someone who was playing in a band or a brother in a band or something like that. It's just sort of thing that you do.
Yeah, like if you were referencing someone to each other, like if me and our old drummer would be saying about like, oh, some cute guy, would be like, which band is he in? Like, or if you were saying like, oh, do you know that girl such and such? Like, which band is she in? Like everyone was in a band, and yeah, it was true. It was the norm.
That's really interesting. It's funny because usually when you think of Liverpool, the identity goes immediately to the Beatles, but I didn't know that there was like another sort of thing that happened in the 80s as well. That's very interesting. I was not aware.
Well, that's all Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Echo and the Bunnymen and
Julian Cope.
Dead or Alive.
Those are all Liverpool bands?
Yeah, everyone who was in the charts in the 80s pretty much was from Liverpool for some reason. OMD.
Wow. That's something in the water, man. Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, they all lived on the same little street. Like,
this is crazy. This is really crazy to me. And what's his face? The guy from Flock of Seagulls. He has what we were trying to figure out on the show one day. We're like, this is like a devil lock before the actual devil lock. But what do you call it? Because it's blonde. So we decided that it was an angel lock. So the Flock of Seagulls guy, he started it all with the angel lock way before the devil lock in 1979. Something to be proud of. I think.
Apparently that came about by accident. He was trying to do a quiff, and like seconds before they went on stage, someone just came up and slapped him in the back of the head, and he just fell down over his face, and he had to go on stage like that. But then
and it stuck like that.
Yeah, look at his hair, and they won the band.
That's what happens.
I believe so.
It's what they say. If you hold it like that, it'll stick like that forever, and that's what happens. Now, one other thing, and I'll shut up about the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I love the Beatles. I've read many books on the Beatles. One last thing: is it true that is this like? And maybe this is just like an outsider thing, and that this is not true, and you guys can confirm or deny that. So, is it like everybody there's some sort of like spider web, like somebody is like there's like it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon when it comes to the Beatles because of the locality in relation.
Yeah, of course, because everyone's mum or auntie at least was like there, or uncle was there at the time, and like has some sort of like connecting story, whether it's like, oh, my nan's son went to playgroup with Ringo, or like, oh, like John winked at my mum in the cavern when they were playing, like, yeah, it is like that, isn't it, Doc?
Dog.
What?
Paul McCartney is my auntie's dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but that's what's like so. That's what's so interesting about that. So to see that about you guys and be like, whoa, these guys are from Liverpool. Like, this kind of blows my mind. Like, really does blow my mind. And then let's talk about like the sound of your band. Okay, it's like I've tried over the years to sort of categorize it, and I would say, there's definitely like some Devo in there. There's there's maybe a little bit of Blondie, a little bit of there's some punk, there's a little bit of ska. You guys are very, very eclectic. How does all that stuff find its way into the music?
You go.
I always think Doc writes most of the music, but obviously I know it well. Like I feel like a lot of it was back to front, wasn't it? Like, didn't we just start and then like we only knew like a handful of the bands that like became our influences, but it was kind of after the fact because people were telling us that we sounded like them. So they were like, oh, you really sound like this person, or your voice is like this person, or like, oh, do you like this band? You sound like, and we like discovered a lot of our influences like back to front because people were telling us that we reminded them of them, and then it just developed because we listened to them loads. And yeah,
I think there's also like the way we listened to stuff, we were never like just listening to one sort of music ever. We even when we were kids, it was like really anything. Like we would listen to like a metal tape, get a bit bored, put on some oldies, and then just listen to like the charts or what have you. That there wasn't there was no real theme to what we enjoyed listening to. So we never wanted to just do one thing.
That's true.
Yeah. There's like a cabaret theatricality to the music as well. And I think it comes from the eclectic styles. It's not like, as you said, it's like whatever you're kind of listening to. It's not, you're not rooted. It's like, oh, well, we only do punk. We do punk rock. We're a punk rock band, so we should only write punk rock songs. It's like it runs the gambit. And then, you have a song that has like a weird instrument that may not be normally, the style of music wouldn't necessarily require that instrument. And the song I'm thinking of in particular is a song like Tomb of the Blind Date, which sounds like there's some sort of, in the chorus, I'm not a musician, so forgive my vernacular. It sounds like there's like a violin or something in the background. I mean, I know you probably don't remember what you put there or something.
No,
but
it was a friend of ours called Jovi that played violin, and we tried to simulate like a string section by just overdubbing it over and over again. So there was like 20 copies, but it just ended up really buried in the mix, which is a shame because it was I think there's an alternate mix somewhere where you can really hear it, and it was really cool. But the guy mixing it, I guess, just wanted to go more guitar-y with it.
Well, it's definitely like it's one of those things. It's kind of like, listening to Archangel by Sam Hain, and you think that there's a saxophone at the end, and it's not. It's just guitar. Or you listen to Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell, and you're like, is that really a motorcycle? Nope, it's a guitar. So I wasn't really sure if I'm hearing strings or not on Tomb of the Blind Date, but I love it. I love that it's there.
Very quiet. Yeah,
very cool. Very cool. All right, so tell me. Well, hold on. Let's get the pizza question out of the way, since Doc is waiting on some pizza.
I was just going to say, I just want to own the fact that I'm eating a takeaway right now. I need to carry on eating.
Go on, please. That's what this show is all about. Like, for real. The first episode we did initially, when I started the show, I was gonna like try and coordinate with my guests, like we should be eating pizza while we're having the discussion. And so I had Paris from the Cro-Mags on, and we were both eating pizza. And it was good, but it's a lot of mechanics. So there's a lot that goes into it. I figured it's better to just talk about pizza. Oh, speak of the devil.
You can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. And Zombina, what are you eating right now? If you don't mind me asking, what is your takeout?
I've got like tofu, kung po.
That's great.
And spring rolls.
Nice. That's wonderful. I haven't had anything like that in quite a while.
No.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of spring rolls. There we go. He's got the pizza. I'm so stoked about that. That rules. So let me ask my question. This is the thesis questions. The one question that we ask every guest here. And when I say we, I really mean me, because there's nobody else here. But is pizza punk? And if pizza is punk, why is it punk? And if it's not punk, why is it not punk? And very subjective answer. Whatever you say is going to be correct. So go ahead.
My reference points for pizza and punk is just the Ramones and the Ninja Turtles. And so to me, yes, it is. And it's just easy, isn't it? And a bit dirty, but so good.
I can't quite decide. Like, I think that out of if you've got like sort of made on site DIY pizza, which could be punk for that reason, or you've got like supermarket pizza that's just like convenient and quick and could be punk for that reason, but then they can't both be.
No, I'm with you. Supermarket pizza is not.
One of those two forms of pizza is a poser, but I can't quite put my finger on which one.
Oh no, now I'm going deeper in, because the supermarket one isn't. Well, that's the cheap, affordable one that you can do yourself. I get you.
Mm.
Wow, this is profound. Pizza talk,
isn't it? I've been thinking about this all day.
I got to tell you something, and Doc, I hope you don't take any offense to this, but your accent sounds, I'm not going to butcher this word. I'm so embarrassed right now, but I have to say it. I am enamored with the Scouse. Is it Scouse?
Yeah, Scouse.
Accent? You have I can really pick up on the Scouseness. Doc, yours is, I feel like yours is not there.
It's
not really.
horrible.
People always say this.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've just got a very mealy mouth or whatever the word is.
We both really mouthed.
Well, all I know is I guess once again, if you're not from Britain, you're fascinated by all the different, there's so many different dialects.
Oh, we're fascinated by them here. There's so many accents and dialects, and
you have London, you got proper London, like Tim Curry in Rocky Horror Picture Show London, London accent. You got Birmingham, you got the Cockney one, the rhyming one. You got
Jeff, hang on a minute. As you say each one, can you try and say hello just in each accent?
Okay, let me see if I don't know. I love this game. I love this game, but I don't know if I can do it. All right, so now I feel like kind of a poser because I can't exactly. Okay, all right. Well, there's one. Okay, you guys will call them out. There's one where it's like the first letter is dropped off entirely. Like it's just like hello. Hello.
That's Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, that's Dick Van Dyke.
That's Dick Van Dyke in English.
Oh, because of the chimney sweep from Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't actually belong anywhere.
Well, it's a bit pastiche.
Okay. And then you have this, and this is something that I've seen Steve Jones do a lot, where it's like there's like a F sound at the beginning for TH. You know what I'm saying? It's like instead of thank you, it's thank you. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's a certain like Cockney white boy thing.
Okay. And then there's the Scouse accent, which is my favorite of all, and endlessly trying to do my Beatles impressions and trying to find the different. They're so you got your average pigeonholed Beatles impression, but they're so varied and different. You can really, if you could put on a blindfold and know who's talking or who's doing an impression of who. So you have the Scouse one, right? And then the Tim Curry thing I was talking about that he's doing for Frankenfooter is, so I guess that's like the proper London, or sort of like the uppity London accent, where it's like you say,
we say Queen's English.
Yeah.
Queen's English. Okay. Yeah. It's like house, mouse, something like that. Oh man, I'm making a fool of myself, but I can't help it. So how did I do? Did I do okay?
You got the knowledge.
Okay. And then there's Cockney, which I don't understand at all. This makes no sense to me. I know that you can, if you're telling lies, they're piggy pies. And I just think it's just really difficult. It's really difficult to know. I feel like I might just talk like as a New Yorker and say something, and then it means something else in the rhyming slang, and I might offend somebody from Cockney, and they just might be like, why did you say that to me? Because how am I supposed to know that piggy pies are little lies?
No, it's porky pies.
Oh, porky pies. Sorry. So sorry. See,
piggy pies are good though.
See, I knew it was something. It was something with pies and lies. And
I like the idea of you fretting over saying something and not realizing that you were saying something in rhyming.
Just was asking what time it was. Like, relax. I just wanted to know what time it was. No, but it's all incredibly fascinating. I did get to sort of, I went around. I got to go around England for a week, and it was I actually, it was very cold. I caught, if you're not accustomed to the chill, there's like a damp in the winter, and it's a chill. It goes right through you. And man, it was pretty gnarly. It was pretty gnarly actually, but it was amazing to be there, go to Stonehenge, see all these cool places. I loved it. I thought it was great. But anyway, back to Zombina and the Skeletons for a second. So tell me, how did you guys link up? How does it all begin when you guys start Zombina and the Skeletons?
I stalked him in school for a couple of years with like a teenage crush. Went to see his like grunge band, Dog Flambe. And yeah, then we teamed up and started the band, didn't we?
Like the first time we actually played together was we like Dog Flambe was trying to do a Nirvana thing, as you do. We were like 13-year-olds, and we had seen the Unplugged concert, so we thought you had to get violins and cellos on stage with you. So we used to do like a thing at school where all the bands in school would play in the school hall, and we tried to have this big emotional moment where we'd have like a string section come on, and Zombina was playing the violin, but we didn't know how to do it, so it was all feedbacking, and you couldn't really hear it. And I remember like a coin bouncing off my head at one point that someone threw. But that was fun, and it was like we should do another thing that isn't that.
Yeah, that was a beginning.
When have you played a violin since then?
I did some sort of just spooky sound effects, didn't I, on a Zombina thing? But no,
yeah,
didn't have the I got to a certain point, but I don't like practicing things, so that's why I stuck with singing. I can do that straight away, and I don't like band practice too, I Doc. So even practicing singing is a bit like.
How does that work? Like before a show, do you have like do you do the whole thing in the dressing room where you're just like me 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 mo?
No, I should. No, I'm really like stupid about it because I damaged my voice. I like badly injured my voice on a tour that we did. Just by partying hard. I was just an idiot, just absolute. We were on a sleeper bus with 3 or 4 other bands, and for 2.5, 3 weeks, and I smoked loads. I got so drunk that I was like, and I'm wild when I'm drunk, and I was just screaming and shouting all night after the gig, and I just caused myself it was like chronic laryngitis, I think they said, after I got back, and they said your vocal range is all and everything, and so I should do all that stuff. But
there was that song Raised in Hell when we started playing that, because there's no other song where you have to shred it. But doing that every night was kind of probably not the best idea.
It's a great song, and there's there's a bridge. I love that little bridge part. I'm not gonna attempt it right now, but it's like that little bridge part is really fun too. Before it goes back into the, I don't know what is that? What do you call that? Is that a middle 8? Is that a bridge? What is it?
Yeah, it's like a middle 8 followed by a bridge.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's really great. So that is tough. I don't think people understand that about singing. If you are touring, that you got to treat your voice like it's it's a guitar or a saxophone or whatever, a keyboard, needs to be like Nicolas Cage. He always talks about himself, his body, like he is the instrument of his acting. He calls it my instrument.
Good on him.
Right. So it's like the voice is the instrument as well. So that's I'm sorry that happened. I hope that have you been able to, has there been some convalescence, some whatever you want to call it, recovery in that area?
Yeah, I mean, it was years ago, and I just rested it for ages. I literally went to my auntie's house and was I think she may have been locking me in and unlocking the door to bring me food. I think it was that extreme. It was I went to her house to not talk. And I think I was breaking up with my boyfriend at the time, who was our drummer. So we had been fighting as well. So it was just like the whole thing was like vocal unrest. Doc, are you gonna have some pizza?
Yeah,
Yeah.
eat, Doc. Eat your
Can.
pizza. Listen, Doc, let me give you a couple.
Thing is, it's the gluten-free Papa John's, and they don't fit when they use this base. They just leave it whole, and you have to tear shreds off it. Or go and get a knife. Well, I'm not going to go and get a knife, so I'm just going to have to pull bits off.
Well, I'll tell you, I learned in that very first episode I was talking about, where when Paris was talking, I was trying to shove like whole slices of pizza in my maw as greedily as I could before he stopped talking, so that way I could then talk. It was just such a bad. It was very dysfunctional for, as long as one person is not eating pizza, it like works, because that way, you can, one person goes in for the bite, the other person can because you don't want any dead air. You don't want any dead air. You don't want just like, I will say this. I did some reaction video thing on my channel, and I didn't realize at the time that you could mute your mic, right? You can mute the mic. And so I'm taking vitamins. Or as Zombina would say if she was singing a song, vitamins.
Yeah, you did it.
Vitamins. I was taking my vitamins, and I could the crinkling of the wrapper, everything. I guess it got picked up in the mic. I didn't know this. I got a bunch of views, and everybody in the comments over and over again was just like so mad. They were so pissed. And I learned my lesson. And so like every response was in caps lock. I'm sorry. I learned my lesson. So
I feel like you were wronged. I feel like they overreacted to that, Jeff. If that's what happened, don't be so sorry. You were looking after yourself.
It's just people eating food. There's this. Have you seen these mukbang videos? It's like a thing where you just listen. It's like, this is what it sounds like eating peas.
ASMR.
Eating spaghetti.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
I used to be a waiter for years and years and years. And so it's like ingrained in me, like this idea of customer service in some way, shape, or form, where I'm just like, first thing out of me is, because when people, you see people's real personalities when they're eating in a way, like at a restaurant, like it's like something reptilian in the back of the brain comes out, and they just kind of like, you see the way they treat people when they're ordering food from a waiter, you kind of get a gist of who they are.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Right. And so like the best way to diffuse someone right off the bat is, I'm so sorry about that. What can I do to make it better? You know what I mean? Like, just diffuses them instantaneously. And what I find, and they say that YouTube comments are some of the most toxic places on earth. Half of the time when you say, I'm sorry, they're like, it's okay, man. Just don't let it happen again. I don't know how that works, but it works. So you guys got together, you start playing. Let me ask you this. When does the band go from just like sort of doing, the gig and again, I don't know. I'm saying generalized. I'm not talking about you guys specifically, but when you go from doing the high school talent show to being like, you know what, like, all right, let's start playing these clubs, and okay, let's book a tour. Let's go out and do a tour. Like, how does that shift happen? If you can put it to words, maybe you can't. Up to you.
Yeah, you definitely have to do this one, because I don't remember at all. This is one of my memoryless black holes.
The first show we did was in a bar, because there was a bar that was really lackadaisical and just allowed teenage kids to come in and take over the basement. And I remember they used to, like, they had no one stood behind the bar, and kids would just be helping themselves to beer and stuff, and it was really chaotic. But then I think the same kids that were doing that, like a couple of years later, were putting on actual shows in more legitimate places. And I know you just saw other people doing it, so you went along and also booked a bunch of things. You just say, oh, that place allows bands to play. book a thing in there.
Do you remember being in my mum's?
Mm.
We were in my mum's and we got the phone book out, like the yellow
Yeah,
pages, and we went through all the clubs, and we were like, oh, that pub's called the UFO, let's play that one. And we called it and like started talking to them, and they were going, oh, are all the flying spiders and that?
Well, no, because we had a letter. We wrote a letter that was completely full of lies, saying that we had this amazing stage show, because we thought like one day we would have an amazing stage show. So we were just like promising. I mean, we were very, very young, so we didn't. I don't think we quite got. We didn't think we were lying.
He said giant flying spiders coming to the
we
audience.
said there was going to be giant flying spiders involved and all this kind of thing, and sent it off to different bars and things. Then we get phone calls back saying, "Is it safe? Can kids allowed to watch it? Whatever."
But I mean, that's like the type of stuff that you have to do. Some might call that faking it until you make it, that kind of thing. Or, I mean, that's to me, when I hear that, I think it's admirable. It's tenacious, like you're getting out there. It's a hustle, and you're talking about, now you guys started around 98, 99. So it's like, the internet is a resource, but not in the way that we use it today. So it's like, yeah, you're opening up the phone book. You're like, that place looks cool. It's like an extension of going to the record store and being like, that I can't listen to the record, but that album has a cool cover. I'll pick that up. It's like the same thing. It's like you're just looking up, oh, I like the name of that place. Let's check it out. Let's try and make a list of all the places.
It wasn't obvious what you were meant to do. So so we just did what we could.
That's so cute.
And then at the same time, you guys have done you guys got an accolade sometime a while back. And it's an accolade that actually kind of makes me really mad on one hand. They called you the best, forgive me if I'm messing this up, correct me if I got it wrong. You were the best unsigned band in Europe or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Okay, we gotta Google it later. But you guys were like given this accolade of like the best unsigned band, but at the same time, you guys are putting out records all the time. You have a record label, Ectoplastic Records. Ectoplastic Records, and you're making music videos. That's how I'll tell you. That's the very next thing I did. I heard this EP, which you released for free for Halloween 2007. The Halloween, whatever. I don't remember the name of the EP.
I didn't know about that one. Maybe it was a bootleg.
Are you sure? There was a 4-track EP that was released on Halloween as like a thing or something.
I remember recording it and everything, but I don't remember the artwork or what it's called.
Well, in any case, I just remember that it came out in 2007. I heard it in 2009, and then I went on YouTube and I started looking you guys up, and that's when I found the Dracula Blood video. I'm like, I was like, I'm seeing the outfits, the color-coded outfits. So you got the color-coded outfits going on. Where does that come from? That inspiration as well. I know we were just talking about recording. We'll get back to that in a second. Just whose idea? What's behind the idea to do black and yellow sort of outfits, which looked really cool, by the way?
We thought they were the two colors that hadn't been done. I think wasn't it? I think everyone already owned black and something else.
Yeah, black and red was done to death.
Murder Dolls was black and red, I think, wasn't it? And
Kraftwerk and
I
don't know, like the uniformity was like, all of the Kraftwerk and Devo and who else? Probably the Beatles, like that thing of all being dressed the same. But yeah, it's true. Black and yellow. We thought like that one's not anyone's obvious thing. We handmade those costumes as well. Our merch girl at the time, Ghoulie Martian, she made my dress and I made the t-shirt. I think it was John as well, Johnny Tokyo, and me made the t-shirts. And obviously we made the video. I mean, you can tell we made the video.
Oh, it's a great video. And I like the one for Evil Science is fun. Weird.
Which one's that? Oh,
you're in the wheelchair.
Oh, see, I I wasn't in the wheelchair for this reason, but then I was like really sick still with that bad voice thing.
Oh wow.
That was still after that tour, and I'd got some sort of like lurgy as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So that video, I remember just being
horrible
so
video to film. I remember he said, "Don't
ill.
bring your fake blood. I've got some brilliant fake blood that we can use." And then it was like washing up liquid and water or something, and he put it in our eyes, and then the whole day we were just like, and all I really remember is walking around squinting. Wait to go home.
But the idea to you're making music videos yourself and putting them on YouTube, which I mean, again, like we haven't even I never unpacked this, but like to think about like YouTube from the year 2005 to 2010, it's still like such a new thing. You know what I mean? Like we don't think of YouTube as a place for music videos back. I mean, they existed obviously, but like it just wasn't. YouTube wasn't what it would be in the next decade. So it's kind of like you're making these videos when this thing is like brand new, and you're also doing a ton of recording. And Doc, you are a music engineer as well, right? Would you call yourself that?
I don't work as one, but I've got qualifications, really old qualifications that are quite out of date now.
And you do that with like most of your free time for like your own projects.
Yeah, I spend all my time doing music tech stuff, but yeah, I'm not a working engineer or anything like that in the professional world.
I would say that's exactly what you are. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Like that. Yeah, that's like, you know, that's the whole thing about being a filmmaker. Like it's so hard to call, like you don't ever want to call yourself a director or a filmmaker or something, because it just sounds, because if you're not in Hollywood, you know, doing it for a living, then, you know, you feel kind of like silly saying it. But it's like, if you're doing the thing, then you're the thing. So quite clearly you're an engineer. Where did that start for you? Does that come from like a place? Is that like a thing of necessity? Like I always want to be able to record music and I don't ever want to like have to rely on someone else to do it? Or where does it come from?
Yeah, exactly that. Just needing to be able to do it in the minutes where you have time to do it and you don't have to spend loads of money on a studio. I think we have over time gone to real studios, but the number of shows you have to play as a small band to build up enough money to go to a studio for like 2 hours or something, even in those days, was a lot. So it wasn't productive. So we had to learn how to use computers. Zombina's brother basically taught me how to record via a computer when it was in the days when it wasn't common practice. So our first album was all, because of the limitations of computers in those days, it was all like small loops, and everything except for, you know, like a vocal or something where you couldn't get away with it, but to save processor power, everything had to be, you know, 4 bars of bass repeated and put in the correct place, and everything bounced down as much as possible. It was very, very learny.
I find it. Listen, I find that, again, as someone who does not play music, I'm not a sports guy. I don't follow sports at all. Music is my sports. So to me, I find this stuff fascinating. Especially, I mean, you know, again, to bring up the Beatles one more time, in Limitations, they recorded Sgt. Pepper with 4 tracks. It was a 4-track machine that they used to do that. You know, it's kind of incredible when you think about it. They're like recording orchestras and then bouncing that down to 1 track. It's like you're losing a generation every time you do it. And they're bouncing it down to 1 track because they need more room. It's like kind of insane when you think about it. And people like think about like what Sgt. Pepper is, even though I don't think it's the best Beatles album personally. That's just me. So you're going on, you're recording. Now, I want to know specifically about certain songs that, again, like I've never spoken to you guys, but I've always this music has rattled around in my brain for a long time, and I don't really know anything about it. So the Mondo Zombina EP, I think that has Counting on Your, I can't say that word on YouTube, Counting on Your, you know what? Spring Heel Jack, one of my favorite songs, great friggin' song, which I didn't even know who Spring Heel Jack was. I learned about Spring Heel Jack from that song, that great myth. Didn't know who he was.
Me too.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. I'm trying to think what else is on that. What else is on that record? There were 5 songs, I think, maybe. I don't know. Help me out,
There's
guys.
2 more, and they are Zombie Hop and the New Orleans Incident.
Yes. Okay, what is the New Orleans Incident about? That one's great. Love that song.
It was, the idea is it just came from the idea of, wouldn't it be cool if you had a song that told the story of a band, and all the band members get killed one by one, and as they die, their instrument drops out of the song. So it starts off with a full band, and then like I haven't done it so long. I can't remember who dies first. I think the piano player dies first, so the piano drops out, and then keeps going like that until there's nothing left, and then the ghosts all come back and play her out in the air.
No, I'm not being facetious when I do that. Like, I never even thought. Again, like I said, I've listened to that song for many, many, many years. I never even realized that and now I have to go listen to it. The instruments are dropping out as that's happening. I always assumed that you were writing about something that had happened in New Orleans, but I could never find anything about it. So I didn't know. I thought there was some famous incident in New Orleans with a band that had died. Okay, like that's what I had thought. That's why I was like, this is crazy. Okay, interesting. And then Zombie Hop is a great song. I Love Rock and Roll. That's on one of the earlier albums. That's just a great, simple track. Kind of reminds me of the Ramones a little bit. Like, even though it's more, I don't know, playful, I guess I would say. I don't know. Great track. What about, okay, let's talk about the record that I can play this record top to bottom over and over again. And I love that it's like 26 minutes long. It's very, very short, which I love. I don't like a record that's fit. I mean, it's okay to have a record that's like 60 minutes and you get lost in it and it's fun to get lost. But there's also something about like the urgency of a really short record that you could play 3 times in an hour. Like, if you want to listen to it over and over again. And that's what I love about Death Valley High. I love this record.
Is that 26 minutes long?
It's under a half hour. It's under a half hour.
Oh my God, that is shocking.
Yeah. That's all right for a concept album, isn't it?
Dude, and that's what blew me away. I didn't know it was a concept album. I was like, oh my God. But it's like, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you guys were going to actually try and shoot a video to go with the music. What happened? Why didn't it happen? What was the plan? Tell me about this.
I think we just weren't filmmakers. we really wanted to do it, but it wasn't like we had a coherent script or really a plan. It was just like, we must do this, and we're always talking about it, but where to start, how to do it.
We've always been stoners, and we've always had no money. That's another 2 major factors, I think, in a lot of our stories of like, why didn't you do that thing? Or like, what happened? And like, and why are you still unsigned up? And why didn't you? I think a lot of it is like, we were poor and we were, partying.
And we were playing, like, we didn't actually have that much time between recording and
we did play a lot, actually. We toured a lot for years, didn't we?
And even between tours, it was just like, random shows in the middle of the week, home for a day, something else random, home for a day. Just like, there was no real kind of. It seemed, if we were in Liverpool for 2 weeks, it felt strange. Sometimes.
I mean, you guys played all over Europe, right? Like, just it seemed like just going bing bong boom all over the place.
We tended to do like specific countries would have their phase, didn't we? Like it was always all about Germany and like tying in like a bit of like Holland around that, and then never really a lot in France, did we?
No,
just a bit, just a few times, and then Italy. Then it was all about Italy. Few in Spain, but yeah.
Let me double back to Death Valley for a second. Are there more songs in Death Valley? Because did you cut certain songs out, or there a certain story elements that might have been excised from the narrative?
I literally can't remember. I don't know what.
I don't think so. How does it go?
Well, it starts off, the kids are all dead.
Okay, so that's the end of the movie. That's like Memento style. That's like, isn't it? And then you
go like 3 weeks earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, man. You're blowing my mind right now.
That sets the storyline, and it's like, this is what happened, and then you're like, but how?
And then it's Lost Boys, right?
Oh, yeah. So Lost Boys. Yeah. Dejected, Rebels.
Yeah. And it's got this, I love that. It's like, again, it like does like, I don't want to call it ska for lack of a better term. It's like, it does this little pickup thing.
Yeah.
I love that. It's friggin', it's
I
great.
love the drums on that one.
It's a lot of fun. And then there's the song where you're taking the vitamins. Oh, at the Megaplex, something at the Megaplex.
I love that song.
Thinking about making out, like teenage angst.
Oh,
right.
It's like about it. That's one of my favorites. In fact, some of my favorites are on this album. Villain as well.
Villain's great.
Bubblegum Machine, is that on this album?
Yeah.
Which one?
Bubblegum Machine.
Yeah. Oh, I really want to talk about Bubblegum Machine. But before we get there, then there's My TV, which was
another favorite.
No, you don't understand. This is how I woke up every single day, because my alarm clock was My TV. So every day I would wake up to "Good morning, My TV." And I just love the lyrics. Like, you're the only one who appreciates me. Like, it just again, like, it really captured the sense of, like, not even just teenage like angst, but have you ever noticed, like, in a lot of, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of like Greg Araki movies. You guys know Greg Araki did the Doom Generation, Nowhere, Totally Fucked Up. He's like this. You never heard of it? You ever seen the Doom Generation? Of course you have. I'm sure you guys had to see with Rose McGowan and James Duvall, and they're traveling. In any case, my point is that all of these films, it really captures that there's teenage angst, and then there's also like this thing where it's like teenage angst mixed with death, like the idea of dying very, very young. And it's like this interesting sort of energy that is very present on this album in particular. And again, like songs like My TV, about like just this idea of literally having this bond with the TV and filling your head up full of, dumb, stupid stuff, because why not?
I think it was autobiographical, wasn't it, Doc, when you wrote it?
Yeah, I was very much more into television than human interaction when I was younger.
When we started hanging out, he taught me so much culturally, all from the telly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, so have you guys ever seen Threads?
No, I've always intended to.
Holy shit. This is okay. I watch a lot of horror. I love horror stuff. I'm sure you guys do too. Nothing bothers me. Nothing. I can watch any horror thing. The only thing I can't watch stuff that happens to children, anything, even if it's not a horror movie, anything that happens to kids, like that can't, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I have kids. I don't know what it is. I can't. I weep for the children. I weep for the children. But there's something about nuclear holocaust that is so terrifying, and Threads captures that so well. You must see it. I'm surprised. I thought that was like a cult staple in England. Got to check it out.
Is, but I've still just never felt strong enough to go down the road.
You have to be in the right mindset. You can't go into it just sort of like willy-nilly. You got to be ready to see some shit in order to really handle it. But it is.
I'm past that, Jeff. I reckon I'm past it then. my like horror tastes have gone so mild now. That Doc Horror's always like coming around at the moment and like gently talking to me about certain movies that he'd really like me to watch, and he's like, but it's a bit, and I'm just like, mm-mm.
You can't do it. What about, you like Scream? You a fan of Scream at all?
Yeah, it was great, but at the time,
Yeah.
I was terrified of it, wasn't I, Doc?
Mm.
Do you remember that for years my like thing was like, oh my god, the Scream mask.
I love this. I love those Scream movies. They're like Scooby-Doo. It's like Scooby-Doo horror.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's what's so fun. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, all right, so then you got this a cappella track on Death Valley High, which like blows, because I'm sitting here going like, how do you think to write this? In all honesty, like, how does this come? And again, I think back to just the eclectic nature, which is like a number one. If someone says like, what is Zombina and the Skeletons all about? I would just say they are eclectic. They don't cement themselves to anyone's style, and just sort of like, you know what? I feel like writing a song on a xylophone about Vincent Price. Let's do that. It's freaking amazing. Or hey, let's do a song with like a Scooby-Doo chorus about trying to sneak into the prom. It's so great. And Zombina, you're doing, there's also the Guess What I Love You song, and you're doing the American voice, like, oh, Jamie, you gotta love, it's so great. Which is hilarious.
How's my accent? Is it good?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful in American. It's wonderful in Scouse. It's great. You're doing great. It's good. But I love that little bit is great too. Villain's a good song. Villain's a great song. You know, you got that weird little, it's like sounds like an electrical clavicle. Like a clavicle, right? What is that thing?
It's the funky clav.
Funky clav.
Funky clav.
It sounds like something from GarageBand, and that is not.
Dun, dun, dun,
That's not a put down. That's not a put down. It just sounds. That's like what it reminds me of. And you know, I don't know. It's really, but that's what I'm talking about. It's like, hey, let's throw this instrument on. Let's do that. Let's do something with this instrument.
Yeah, John
really
really loved that sound at the time. I think it was on a couple of songs.
Oh, what else? Do you remember what else you might have used it for? If it comes to you, let me know.
There's lots of like doody things. It might be like other songs on that album, like End of the World might have it on, because a lot of stuff on there.
That's a great song.
Oh god, this is my favorite Zombina album. I haven't thought of the track list.
Yeah, I'm starting to warm to it now that we're talking about it.
It really is. Like, this is so awesome to talk about this with you guys, because like I said, I've listened to this album so many friggin' times, like hundreds of times I've listened to this album. I think it's a phenomenal album. There's two different covers for it too. There's one where it's like a weird patchwork cover, and then there's one.
That's amazing fan art.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It doesn't mind us having it on a Bandcamp, actually, because I don't know if we ever really had a conversation about it.
Didn't you ask her? She's called Selena Laverne Day. She's amazing. She's like a fabric, like felt applique artist. I don't know if that's the right terminology for what she does, but check her out.
I will.
Selena Laverne Day. She used to come to our shows in Manchester, and she just was always like dressed in some sort of like unbelievable outfit, and she's just a star.
She had an affinity for that album, or was that just like, oh, I could easily replicate this artwork and do the thing, or you just?
I think did she do like an album covers thing? Was it like one of many album covers that she?
I'm not sure. You know, she just is quite prolific, isn't she? So I've seen loads of stuff she's done, but I don't know if it was.
We will have asked her, won't we? We did ask her that we could use that.
You know what?
Sounds like you've done it.
I'm sure she's honored
right now.
I'm sure she's honored no matter what. I would be, if I crocheted that and gave it to you guys, I would be honored if it was. I'm sure it's, you know, do it.
You've brought up an important issue here that we'll have to chase up.
You will, but you'll figure it out. You'll straighten it all out.
I lovingly made the original artwork, and it was very detailed. with the storyline in mind. Like I got quite deep into it.
It's great. It's really, really great. And then what happens after there's, your girlfriend's head rolls off her shoulders, the girl chopping off your head, girlfriend's head. I talked about how much I love the album, but I don't know the titles. Because you got to understand, I don't listen to one song. If I'm going to listen to one song, I'm going to put the album on from the beginning, and I just listen to it all the way to the end, and I just think of it as Death Valley High, right? You know,
Yeah,
so
especially
it's
if
just
only 20 odd minutes long or what.
oh my God, it's so short, but like in a wonderful way. And then there's Dissolve Ray. Janie's got a Dissolve Ray.
One too.
And I'll tell you, that song is really sort of like it's kind of it's really, really creepy, like in the sense of like when you think about, again, talking about teen angst and teen, like the way that, like dying young, and then how it relates to like, let's just leave it at this: current events or events that happen in the real world. It all kind of like ties together thematically in that kind of way, in a much more campy, sci-fi-ish kind of way. And then here's what I never understood about your concept here. So she's got a Dissolve Ray that the evil genius from Villain built for her. But then how does everybody turn into vampires? Or how does everybody, like, or whatever, like, how does everybody gonna die at the end? Like, what? That's why I was saying, is there
It's
stuff
like a big,
that...
It's like a big carry thing. She just dissolves everyone.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what happens in the end, because I can't remember if we ever really decided exactly what happens. But yeah, she just dissolves everyone.
And then she ends up in the asylum, doesn't she?
Right, before she gets she ends up in the asylum because she cut off the girlfriend's head with an axe.
Oh yes. So is it at the end of that bit?
And then after she goes to the asylum,
she gets out.
Yeah, that's the waiting. I'm waiting, blah, blah, blah. The waiting.
Yeah.
And then, after the waiting, it goes into Janie's been acting really weird, and it's like do.
Oh my God! So she came back.
Yeah, Janie's got a dissolver.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
So she got out. It was like the sequel came in the last 2 tracks. She's back.
She comes back. Well, she gets locked up. She gets her revenge. She comes back. It's like you said, the Carrie thing. But then it's like everybody's going to die at the end with the End of the World track, which is great because it's something like in the morning, I get ready for the night, which is such like it's a line that really captures my imagination. It kind of reminds me of, do you guys know the author of Fight Club, Chuck Palahniuk?
Yeah.
All right. So he wrote a book called Rant, where everybody gets rabies and they like kind of turn nocturnal and like go out, but like, I don't know, it has something to do with like saliva. I think of this book when I think about that line in your song. And I don't know, it really captures my imagination. Like everybody turning into vampires or something. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then the final song, which is, I don't really think I have a favorite song on the album, but like this song really, really, really hit me hard when I first heard it because it's so upbeat. And the lyrics, it's just that beautiful dichotomy of dynamic contrast, beautiful melody with macabre lyrics. And I'm like, I didn't have a lyric sheet when I'm listening to this thing. I'm going, wait a minute, what? What's going on? Is he strangling her with a friggin' ring, with a necklace that he found in a bubblegum machine? That's why it's called a bubblegum machine? So how does this song tie into the rest of the story? You have to solve the mystery. That's
just kind of like a flashback to the sort of love story, the the way she saw it as a kind of I don't think anyone dies in that song. I think that's more of a kind of that's just it's just that's just a nice song.
I
No,
love
it's
that.
been a long time,
You know?
baby.
Now everyone's dead. We're just remembering the sweet moments that took place along the way.
No, it's been a long time, baby. Once a year enough. Yes, I'm
yeah.
still in love
Still in
with
love.
you.
He is at a great
Got
place.
flowers for
No
you.
one died
I'm still in
during-
mourning because I don't want to dig you up. I still got you. I still
I
got
don't
you in
wanna
my
see you
blood.
rot while I still got you in my
Got you in my
blood.
blood. It was on a night like this when I gave you that ring. I knocked over a bubblegum machine. It's too big for your finger, baby. So put it around your neck and don't forget. And something didn't matter. The sadness in your eyes. I'm sorry that you had to die.
Yeah.
It's such an ugly way.
What do you mean? It's not about killing her.
It's totally about killing.
No, but she's alive. He's dead. The guy she liked, and she's just remembering stuff. It's just like
Wow.
a morning song.
Wow.
Remembering the good times.
Because at the very end of the song, you hear the projector.
Ring around your neck, just a little bit of string. It's not like
Okay. You're blowing my mind right now because I just always thought this was I think this is the best song on the album. It's a really good track. There's a reason why it's the final track. But I'm always thinking maybe it's a bonus track because it doesn't really seem to me to fit with the rest of the stuff. But then at the very end, you hear the projector go just the way you hear it start at the beginning for that first song.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, so this is thematically, it's supposed to be one concept album. And what a brilliant album it is, you guys. I love this thing. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for talking to us about that. That was really nice to think about. Like, I think I love it too. I haven't heard it for so long.
you should listen to it.
Maybe not now. Maybe now we would be able to make the film because we can't realistically tour, can we, for quite a while?
There's
So,
a way.
maybe
There is a
not.
way to make that movie. There is a way to make that movie.
Oh, Jeff,
And,
are you making a proposal?
well, actually, maybe I am. Maybe I am. We could talk about that. I was just
Off
thinking
camera.
ahead of how you would make that movie for no money, and there's absolutely a way to make that movie for no money. So if that is something that you are interested in, we could talk about that. I would talk about that with you guys, for sure. So what happens from that album? Then you record Out of the Crypt Into Your Heart. That's like the 10th anniversary album, right? And where is the big push where you guys are? Because isn't there a point in your band history where you guys are just sort of really pushing it, like grinding to become like to take it into a level above the level that you're already at? Can you talk a little bit about that?
We're both like, where are we?
Memories I can't access. Yeah, no, that we went to a real recording studio. We shopped it around record labels. We did all the proper stuff that bands are supposed to do for a change instead of trying to do DIY like we would normally do. I think we still recorded it mainly at home, and then there was this whole confusing process where we were replacing drum machines from demos with like Ben had to play over them in a real recording studio.
Yeah.
And then his playing would then get turned into triggers, and there was like reamped guitars. Like we had to like actually rent like a decent guitar, which we would normally just record on trash, but it was like played on a real Les Paul that we rented for a few days and at the iBox and things like that. And then the producer put it through real guitar amps and made it sound like a normal record. That was the idea. We just wanted to do something that sounded competitive and not like quieter than everyone else's records and things like that. But I do think it does kind of have a little bit less of our identity, that record, than the others. Like it's a little bit more standard in a way, sound wise. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds great. They all sound, I mean, like apart from like the very earliest recordings that I've heard of you guys sound like very much like home recordings, not in a bad way. They just sound like they were made at home. But the stuff that, like, for instance, Death Valley High sounds like it's done to me sounded like no different to me than, say, Out of the Crypt into Your Heart. As a music consumer with no musical background, I'm going, there's no difference to me, which kind of like, I've heard other musicians have this sort of attitude about like, who cares? Like, who cares where, as long as if the songs are catchy and, you can do it. I mean, are you guys into the Pixies at all? You like Pixies? Okay. The way that they recorded Surfer Rosa. I don't know if you're familiar with how they did that with Steve Albini from Big Black and Shellac. Like, they're like recording it in like bathrooms and like long, narrow hallways. And that's why Surfer Rosa sounds like Surfer Rosa. It doesn't sound like it's made in a studio, because it's not. It's made in some weird factory, which I think is way cooler. Or do you know the Mummies at all?
A little, yeah.
The Mummies have this really interesting philosophy called no budget, where they're just like, they record on, whatever they can get their hands on. Like, they just put a micro, like, they're trying to emulate what the Sonics did in the 60s, when the Sonics have this really sort of weird drum sound where they just took a microphone and they put it up here and just captured the whole kit, and it just has a sound to it, and it's like, oh, well, it didn't come from like a proper studio, but like, who cares? It sounds interesting and unique, So I feel like that all that stuff at the end, the people that are listening to the music aren't going to remember where it was recorded. They're going to, remember it for the great songs, So, I don't know. And then you guys did. Now, this is where I was on your mailing list. You put out the 7-inch. I don't know if you put out more 7-inches, but you put out, that was a 7-inch you put out, which I picked up the Teenage Caveman futuristic 7-inch.
Future Life, yeah.
Yeah, which is super fun music videos. Great release, great packaging. You did that yourself completely?
No, there were still bits that were done in the studio.
Okay.
On Teenage Caveman, I think Future Life was pretty much a home recording.
No, but I mean in terms of distribution.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We tried to. We had an idea for a campaign. We were trying to get Halloween #1 in the UK, but that didn't go very well. But we had fun trying. Like, we were getting in touch with like radio stations, and we were on tour during the time we were trying to promote it. So we had to like designate a friend to go around doing interviews for us, like a spokesperson.
Yeah.
Was that Howard Be Thy Name?
Hey?
Howard Be Thy Name? Did he do that?
Yeah. Which is
you guys have
really
all these
odd.
great nicknames. I love this. Like, there's all these fun punk rock stage names.
Oh, he's a brilliant Liverpool character. He introduces, like you said, there was all these like offshoot bands. We did this band White Blackula. He introduces
I know White Blackula.
Pyramid Twist video.
Yeah,
the guy at the start who's
video.
like the host. That's Howard Be Thy Name.
What? Wait, why? Okay, I remember that. Yeah, you guys were doing like a YouTube thing for a while with that too. So where did White Blackula come from? And how did that, and then that started happening after, I think, that was before, what's the, with Don't Go Into the Light on it, Carnal House Rock, I think it is, something, right? Which I also picked up. And you did a great video for that song, Don't Go Into Light. That is a really fun music video. Great song, great music video. But what's going on with White Blackula and Zombina at this time? Because it seems like you guys in the last decade, you kind of pick it up, you put it down. You pick it up, you put it down.
Yeah, very sessional.
That album was like, we actually had that sort of finished in like 2011. Like before we started White Blackula or anything, but then
really,
yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the delay was in getting it out, but there was probably just me. I think it was just me being useless. But it took like another 4 years to actually release it. By which time we had another band that we were doing just to see what would happen. Yeah.
And you've done a bunch. So you had a band called El Toro, and that was like a surf band.
Yeah.
And then your main band right now is Double Echoes,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of like, I don't
Echo
know,
singular.
a double echo. Sorry, double echo. And that's more like, I guess, post-punk. Is that the best way to, right? Which is
Although
fun.
the latest album the latest album that they've done is like full on synth pop. It's quite
Really?
a bit. Yeah.
And so, but you're like, I don't want to come up with a new band name for changing the style of the music, or is it like, oh no, Double Echo is evolving into synth pop?
It's kind of changed over time.
That's cool.
But that's the way you meant to do it, isn't it? You do
a
garage rock band, and then you do a post punk band, and then you eventually turn into synth pop. It's the natural progression.
Well, I mean, why not? Why not? And then I was like, because I'm always like checking on the bands I like, when something else coming out, and then you put out these 4 EPs, right? So it's like you're still because I was like, where is Zombina and the Skeletons? Are they down? And then at the same time, you guys almost came to America, and I've been over the last 10 years. Anytime there's like a post on Facebook, I'm like, come to America. You guys should come to America. Like, and you almost did in 2013 or 2014. It didn't work out. You didn't end up coming over. I was very, very heartbroken because I was going to be at whatever show that was to see you guys make your American grand entrance.
It's a bit painful for us that we've never been. Like, I used to like sort of like when I was a teenager, I had that sort of like thing of like being like, oh, America's so cool and all that. And then that changed over the years into different feelings. No offense to the American people, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I totally understand.
although by that point and over the years, we've like sort of just like become aware of so many like individuals like you, like so many people in America that are like Zombina like crew, that we're like, we know you guys, and it is a bit painful. We want to play for you guys and we want to meet you in person. So it's a bit shit because it seems like this unachievable thing when you've got no budget and no like backing. Like getting your band to the US seems like it's basically barred. It's banned. So it's just never been tangible, but like we really do want to come and like actually like
we should have just sent you over and had a pickup band, be the Skeletons for that time. That would have been the sensible solution.
That makes, listen, you know the Green Jello guy, right? So what he does is he has satellite bands around the world. This is crazy. Green Jello, they have the world record for most members in a band. And what he does is he flies into a country, into a state. I think he really only plays in the States. He doesn't go across the pond. But he flies in with his punk rock puppets. I shot one of these shows in Brooklyn. It was crazy. He comes in with all these duct tape puppets and he puts them on the people's heads. The satellite band, which is a full functional band, know the set list. He gets up, he does his thing, and he goes back to California, and that's how he has, and his guarantees are really small, I guess. I don't know, for someone who won a Grammy, I would think maybe might be able to command something more. But I think maybe, at the end of the day, that is kind of a viable, a solution when you presented with a situation. I mean, you think about the numbers, I fly, myself and my family, we fly out of the country every year because my wife is not from the States. And so we fly thousands of miles to visit her family, which is where I'm at right now. And
what country is
it? I'm in Israel.
Oh, cool.
So I'm in Israel right now, and it is very expensive to fly here, like really, really expensive. And it's, I can't even imagine between getting work visas and trying to, put like, get everybody, get all your ducks in a row and then get everybody over. And it's like, it's so hard to make money with touring, especially like you end up losing your shirt anyway. It's so hard,
I
So
think
it's
we
like-
were I think we were daunted by the first initial like split second of it, weren't we? Like we knew but Liverpool bands that had like managed to arrange it and then gone over there, and like, you were always being told you had to do this thing of like pretend you're going to a wedding, you're booked on the flight on a different seat further back down the plane, you're going to like, you're a tourist, you just want to like see the Empire State Building or whatever, and these other two down there, you're going because like you granny lives that, it was like we were always being told that, weren't we? And so it was like, you've got to do it like that. But then it's like, oh, when you get there, like, because there's like a couple of you with a guitar or whatever, or then they're gonna find out and turn you back at the gate, and that happened
on the internet saying that you're playing there, and it's like all the way from the UK. Okay,
yeah.
And then you get turned away at the gate, sent home.
So I did the Hell Nights tour with Blitzkid in 2012, and we experienced some of that, with the whole. That's kind of like the way, especially going into Russia. It's like they're very, very strict. And the whole Russia visa thing is like a nightmare. It's like it's really crazy. And then it's incredible to me because then, when you're in the EU or whatever, it's just like driving from one state to another state if you're going from country to country for the most part, except it's a lot neater. There's no trash anywhere because everybody picks up after themselves, as opposed to like, or you go into wherever, you're stopping at a Burger King or something, and your burger is like this big, and you're just like, it's like that American mentality of like, why is my burger so small? Where's my big burger?
I'm still sad I've not experienced that part of America as well. I used to be so excited about that. Seriously, that still lives on in fantasy. Is like American food, like American big food.
It is
so
very
exciting.
big. Insert like the Cheesecake Factory, which is like the most disgusting place in the history of the world. It's like really gross, but I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's like America personified in terms of like, one salad is like 2,500 calories. And
why? What's in it? What's in it?
It's all, you know what they say. You know what they say? The sauce is the boss. So it's like thick, creamy caramel drizzle, pecan, cranberry.
Stop it.
Just whatever. Just like, just. I used to work at a Cheesecake Factory, so I know the menu. But it's like one entree, one salad, and one slice of cheesecake for one person could easily be split by two people. And it's not even about being cheap or thrifty. It's just the portions. The portions are just so ridiculous, And it's not like not everything about American food is big like that. But like, it's just when you go to the EU and you go to whatever, a fast food joint or whatever, if you're on tour or whatever, and it's just funny because you see like what a normal sized caloric intake should be, and then here it's like people have a screw loose with that kind of thing. And
when Subway came to the UK, they were told they couldn't legally call it bread.
Really?
Yeah, they had to change the recipe because
is bananas. That is bananas. And was that like a big thing when Subway came to the UK?
Yeah, I think they got. It was after a few years of Subways popping up everywhere. There was like some inquiry, and it was like, we can't. That's not bread. We're not allowed to sell that, and they had to change it.
The tuna is not real. Tuna is not real. It's made out of mushrooms.
What?
Yeah. Subway tuna.
I've never had the tuna there, but it's made of mushrooms.
Something like that. Don't quote me on that. It's something like that. It's like
This is
It's
our
like
rumors start.
it's something crazy. But you know what's funny? Actually, I've actually sort of it's so weird. Like the older I get, the more I've gravitated towards these new inventions of like Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger. You
Love them.
know, have you? Oh my God, the Impossible Burger is really, really, really good.
I
My
don't
wife
know
is.
about that one. I haven't had that type, but
They're good. They're really, really good. My wife, who is kosher, eats vegetarian outside of the house. I'm not kosher, but she likes to eat Burger King in a pinch, quick meal, because it's just a really good burger. And the thing is, even though you don't want to spend money at a place like Burger King, at the same time, if you buy the vegetarian option, then perhaps they'll make more vegetarian options as opposed to, the other way around. So
yeah, I can
maybe
see
it works. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. So tell me so where are things right now with
Was that Yuri?
everything?
Oh, Jeff, this is the cat that I gave away because I started having babies and he got so unhappy. And Doc Horror and his partner Ellen took him on, and like he's their baby now.
Well, let's see him. What's his name?
Yuri.
Yuri.
There's two up. There's Yuri and Luna, brother and sister.
Yuri and Luna. Oh,
Oh!
hello.
Look in the camera.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry about that. I haven't seen him for ages.
Oh my Lord. It's funny every time. It's not easy. It's not easy having kittens and having kids and all the chaos and the mishigas and it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But let me ask you guys. So where because you put out that EP. No, not an EP. You put out 4 EPs that kind of make like an album kind of deal situation. So the door is like half open on Zombina. Zombina is something that like always kind of exists in the periphery, and then like anytime it's like, okay, time to dust it off. Let's do something. Or like, what's the deal these days?
Yeah, it's absolutely something we can come back to and do when the time is right. It's just the time is very rarely right. But we haven't like most of our ex-members are still members to some extent. Like I think everyone's still friends, and we can kind of put together versions of the band according to what's suitable for the time and things like that. And we're doing things. Just me and Zombina have been done a couple of things together. Have you heard the recent?
Tell me about that.
If you look at our Bandcamp, there's 2 things from last year. We did a couple of cover versions from the Gremlins and Critters soundtracks.
Yes.
And we did a couple of originals as well, which are all good fun songs.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think this is how our most recent correspondence began, because I got an update about that. I listened to those songs. I have heard this stuff. I listened to that and I was like, because I've been wanting to have you guys in, on one of my shows in some sort of interview capacity for a long time. And that's how this whole jamboree got started in the first place. So, Zombina, let me ask you this. What are, you have a family now. What else are you up to? Now, you had for a while, and I really love the name of the store, you had Alligator Wine, which was you kind of doing these like, jewelry stuff, that kind of stuff. Is that still going on, or is that kind of taking the back burner? What's your deal? What are you up to?
I think I've still got the store, but I just keep like, to be totally honest, like every now and then, like I get a shock because someone's bought something and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I don't actually know where it is. And so I just refund them and then put the store in holiday mode because I'm like, shit, I didn't realize I was saying this stuff was available. I don't know where my stock is. Yeah. my life has just been so chaotic, and so I don't know. I've got like a bit of a like I've got a part-time like real job at the moment. Just recently, I'm like working with young people. It's like a charity, and we do like comic book making workshops with like marginalized youth groups. It's really good. So that's a new
That's really
thing.
rewarding.
Yeah, it's awesome so far. And then yeah, the other half of my week is technically free, but yeah, still got very young children. So you know what that's like. It's just like free time doesn't exist. My oldest is going to start school in September, and that's a bit like the holy grail, isn't it? It's like school age. Like there's those hours of the day where they're like being looked after, being educated, not with you. They're much more able to like, they've got some independence, like even if it's just physically, and like just that this sort of pressure is off a little bit with kind of the extremity of care that you give to a baby, and a toddler. But I've got a toddler again, so I'm still super busy with that. But me and Doc Horror try and meet up and like, yeah, keep it going. Those recordings that we've managed to do over the past few years while I have had any children have just been nuts. Like talk about like rinsing the fun out of like spending time in the studio, two musicians together, like working on things. Like it's been fun, but we've been more like, oh my God, like give us a medal for like absolute churning out a track. Like Doc Horror's just like got some sort of like bare bones version of the track there, and he's like, okay, this is the song we're doing, and then I learn it within like 20 minutes, just listen to it again and again and again and again, and then we record it. And sometimes we've even had to record it in like small chunks because we've had that little time, like there's been a breastfed baby in the next room crying or something, and I'm just there quickly trying to like get it done. And so he's going like, okay, this half a verse, this is how it sounds, and I'm listening and going, okay, and like just aping it. Like we've had to come up with some real like fast food ways of recording, haven't we? I look forward to like giving it some process, in the future. Next couple of years, it'd be nice to like do things that we used to do when we were kids and we had no responsibility, like go away to like someone's auntie's house in the country or something, and it was my auntie, and record something over a week of just God, God, children. This sort of reality is going to be like 30 years. Just go away on holiday for a week and
Yeah, it was great when we had that sort of boot camp situation at your auntie's house, where it was just everyone locked in a shed.
Oh, it was so good. We were going to make a film then as well, weren't we? What was it called?
What was it called?
Yeah.
The album?
No, that film we were going to make in Cherry Bush.
We're going to make a film there.
Yeah, about that. It was a bit Spring Heel Jackish. It was Jim's obsession. Yeah, don't you remember?
I remember nothing.
And it was a killer with a top hat prowling around the house.
That sounds like Spring Heel Jack.
And it was me. Yeah, it was very Spring Heel Jackish. I think maybe it was.
Right.
It was going to be a full film.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that sounds like a load of things mixed together to me, actually. But you're probably right.
That would be my brain.
It's funny, like hearing you guys talk about this stuff. It's kind of like that's what, Charles Bukowski, the writer, he's always talking about, like, you got to create whenever you can create, like, in whatever gap you can find to, like, make something happen. Try and do what you can, or fill up that time and just make it work any which way you can. But that's interesting. So you would go, you would rally the troops, go to a place and be like, okay, we're going to bang this thing out, or we're gonna shoot this thing, or we're gonna do this thing, and sort of like organize it that way to sort of get stuff done.
The thing I was thinking of was we had to record the Channel House Rock album, and we also had the Hell Nights tour booked in, and we'd lost some members, we'd gained some members, and it was just kind of intense kind of learning and writing. So it was like the only way to do it was if we did it, in order to be ready for the
As a living thing.
Yeah, we just had to do it every single day, and the only way to do
Wow.
that really was to just drag everyone into the countryside and say, you can't do anything. You're not allowed to do anything else except for this. There's a little bit of footage of it. If you've ever seen Hell Nights video that we made,
I have seen that video.
That sort of bunker
Yes.
that we're in at the beginning, that was it. It was just.
I don't remember that part, but I do remember
the very beginning. It's like,
one time, when you go down a YouTube rabbit hole and you're looking for live footage of a band that you like, that's when I found that. I found it was a Hell Nights video.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
We that didn't come out for a long time because we were really hoping to get Dr. Chud's camera phone footage, which would have completed some of the storylines and things. But
he had a VCR. A camera
phone, was it? Yeah,
fisheye.
Yeah.
I'm not. All I can say is I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But that is, that's fun. To just. That's the beauty of. That's the beauty of having like a camera on the road. You get to capture these wonderful moments, put it together, and then it's like, throw it up on YouTube, and just have it there. People can discover it and sort of see it when they want to see it.
I think it's severely edited. There's
I was just about
more
to say.
dark moments. That we
I thought it was very squeaky clean. It was very.
Good.
I thought there was nothing scandalous going on in that video. There's nothing. It was very just sort of, we're a band having fun, playing our songs on the road, and that was it. Literally.
That edit, Doc Horror.
Yeah.
So
he could have done a real cruel edit, I think. To me,
is that you do the edits? You do a lot of the editing, Doc?
Yeah, if you can call it that.
I think. Do you edit the music videos too? That music video you did,
Dracula Brothers. Yeah, that was the one that was I directed as well.
Yeah,
often Zombina directs them.
Oh, okay. So you trade it off. You do a little bit. It's it's hard, and it's hard to find people that are on your wavelength where you like want to collaborate and do stuff. I think it's so beautiful. You guys have been collaborating for so long. You always like make time for, no matter what it seems, you always make time for each other in your lives to find a way to make something happen, and put something out. So it's I think that's pretty amazing, and I hope truly hope it continues in some way, shape, or form. I hope to get those little emails with this track or that track and yada, yada, yada. So I think it's pretty great. What's going on? Is there anything going on with Double Echo coming up currently, yada, 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 that maybe people might want to know about?
I'd say go and listen to our new album, which is called A Little Moon.
Little
It
Moon.
doesn't have a name. It's just a little. You can with Unicode characters you can type.
Yeah.
Like symbols sometimes. It's a little crescent moon.
And
the name of the album. So
and you put that on vinyl yourself?
Yeah. No. That's a record label called Fabrica Records.
Wonderful.
In Athens.
Wow.
I put it out, and but we're not doing loads right now because our guitarist has just moved to upstate New York.
That's where I live, is upstate. No, I don't live in upstate New York. Wait, where?
Rochdale?
Oh, yeah, that's
Rochester.
Yeah, that's okay. That is really, really upstate New York. I live in Westchester.
By Canada.
Yeah. Okay. That's not even New York State. That's like another country. It's like,
oh, really?
Like, here's the thing you have to realize about New York. You have Manhattan, right? This is Manhattan. Then you have Brooklyn, you have the boroughs, right? And then so Manhattan is New York City. But then with the boroughs, that's also New York City, right? But then that's like kind of like bigger. But then sitting right above the Bronx is Westchester County. That's where I live. It's about 35 minutes to New York City. It's really nice because you can be away from the city, or you could be in the city. It's like, oh, friggin' Bauhaus is playing in November. Just jam down, go see Bauhaus, yada, 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 whatever. Who cares? Just boom, boom. Anything above Westchester, in my humble opinion, might as well be North Country. It's another world. As a matter of fact, in the history of states, talk about American history, there are all these times where states were going to split up into smaller states. Like Texas was going to become 7 Texases. We're going to be 7 different Texases
Really?
within yeah. California is another one. Split up California into like 8 different states. You have to understand, these states are massive. You could fit 10,000 Englands in one Texas, maybe. No, that's an exaggeration. You could fit a lot of Englands in a Texas. And New York is another one. It's like, Long Island, Westchester County, even parts of New Jersey and New York City. That's like New York. And then everything else is like something else, man. So Rochester would definitely be, I think, would fit into that. Is he, or your bandmate is American or English moving to America?
He's American, but he's from California, and he came to study in Liverpool. And while he was living in Liverpool, his entire family moved right the way across to the other side of America. And then during the pandemic, I think he just kind of got homesick. Yeah, I think it was just too weird for him. So yeah.
How are you guys doing over there? You guys hanging in there? Okay.
Yeah, well, everything's opened again now. There's sort of rumors of another lockdown in September.
Yeah, the Delta's coming.
Oh yeah, that's getting
rearing up its ugly head.
Yeah,
it's just.
I think it's survivable. If it's like
if you're double right. I'm double vaccinated. I'm not worried. Actually, the thing I'm really worried about is my daughter has not been vaccinated yet. She's 2, and she's starting preschool. And this girl is not going to wear a mask. She's just she's a little boss. Like she just doesn't want to wear it. I'm very concerned that I don't know what we're going to do because they're suggesting now, at least in America, the NPR is saying that all kids are supposed to wear. All kids 2 and up are supposed to wear masks. So my son does it very easily, no problem. But
how old is your son?
My son is going to be 6 in September. So he spent the whole year. They never went out of school. I mean, they never had suspended school. He was always in school. My daughter, who my heart goes out to because my daughter was born in 2019. And so she was 1 year old when this whole thing started. And it's like, on one hand, and Zombina, maybe you can relate to this because I know you said you I don't know what ages your children are, but it's like on one hand, they're not going to remember this at all. It'll be, they're not even going to remember it. It'll be out of sight, out of mind. But on the other hand, my heart goes out to my daughter and all the other children like her who, when it was winter and it was just freezing cold, it was just her. I was a house husband for the last year. And so it's just her and myself, and you can't go outside because it's freezing cold. You can't go to Gymboree or whatever because of COVID. And it's like, how do you keep them busy and whatever. And she's having a great time with her cousins now, which I'm really happy about. Little cousins, they're all having a great time, great summer and whatnot. But it's not been easy for the kids, truly.
Yeah, I agree. We've got the thing of ours was only my youngest was only sort of four weeks old when lockdown started.
Oh, wow.
So, and the oldest, I felt for her the most because she'd just become a big sister. So she'd just been usurped basically as our kid. Yeah. Then she'd just gone into a different room in nursery, and there was lots of new beginnings that had just started for her, and then it all just went, and it was just and everyone was stressed as well. That's what I think was the worst effect on the kids is all the grown-ups were stressed, super stressed, and stressed. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's the like Doc Horror was quite upbeat when you were asking how it was all going here with COVID. Like, oh well, it's all opening up again. But I instantly think like it's still the like socio emotional sort of aspect that is just like still so like.
I just mean in sort of in general, but yeah, I'm terrified to go outside. I can't do anything.
You were doing like this weird. You were like broadcasting to Facebook, and you were like in a pub, dressed in like a dentist getup or a doctor's getup or something.
Why were you doing that?
He was like a mad scientist. He was like the beat scientist. That's what he was doing.
Yeah,
He was like
that was my karaoke night that I did in the bar that I was working at. They were paying me to come in on Saturday nights and dress like that.
It's great.
Play tunes that nobody wanted to hear and let people sing karaoke from a very sort of snobby curated list that didn't contain any of the songs that the usual people who do karaoke want to hear. And they were like, "Where's Sweet Caroline?" And how come there's no?
God.
You know.
Oh my God, I hate that song.
You've got to do the Fat Boys.
I'm sorry, I really don't.
It is particularly horrible here as well. It's like the one that you hear coming out the pubs.
John Bon Jovi, "Living on a Prayer." That's another one. I
don't have that on the
Journey.
list, and people would get very angry. But that was
Journey.
The fun. That's the event.
Yeah,
I think it sounds like what you had was anti-karaoke, which I think is...
Yeah, it was trying to be that. There did start to be some concessions towards the end, like too many, like when people get drunk and they get aggressive, and it's like they're coming every week, so you know that. So some things like that you'd always end up with. There was a guy who wanted to do "We Didn't Start the Fire," and I just had to put that on there to appease him, and Total Eclipse of the Heart. Although I don't feel so bad about that because it's, you know,
she's great.
Yeah, Africa by Toto, like that feels like a funny song, but when you hear it sung in karaoke, it's terrific.
All right, you know what's a good karaoke song? You know what's a good karaoke song?
I just don't like seeing people have fun.
Yeah,
the wrong job
what's up with that? How dare you have fun? Come on,
exactly.
Really? Rock Lobster, that's a really fun song.
Yeah. Any B-52 song is just
Love Shot got done a lot. No one ever seemed to want to do Rock Lobster, which is sad.
That is, I find that incredibly sad because I think that song. And then there are selfish karaoke songs like Meatloaf. If you do a Meatloaf song, you're a very selfish person. It's very long. Oh my goodness, it's out of control. Unless maybe if you're doing For Crying Out Loud, that's kind of a short one. It's a little bit shorter.
I don't remember that one.
I like to do the in later, more recent years, as in I've been to a karaoke box like twice. I like to do Phantom of the Opera, like both parts. Me.
Okay.
That's my jam.
You guys like, you like the movie? Have you guys ever seen the movie Phantom of the Paradise?
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite movies. Oh my Doc, that's two. That's two, Doc. Threads. Oh no, three. You should see the Doom Generation.
I've got the DVD.
Question. Do you guys know the movie Forbidden Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By Richard Elfman.
I can't think what it is, but I remember we used to watch
the Boingo movie.
You know, it's the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo.
With the little guy from Fantasy Island.
Hervé, whatever his last name is. Yeah. Vervichez or something. Yeah.
I can't pronounce it.
Which is a really, really awesome, quirky movie. Here's another one for you to search out, Doc. Please watch this film. Both of you guys, please watch this movie. I'm begging you on my hands and knees. I'm begging you to watch this movie. You can find it. It's out of print, so I don't mind saying it publicly because you can't. I don't think you can pay to rent it or anything. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Meet the Hollowheads.
That sounds good.
Oh, it's so.
I was like, it should be the title for this.
But that's kind of like, that's who I am. I am Meet the Hollowheads. Like that is me. You know, that's why I tell everybody about this film. But Meet the Hollowheads, imagine live action. It's the episode of the Jetsons where whatever his name is, George Jetson is having the boss over for dinner. but the live action version of that directed by David Lynch. Okay.
The pictures from it now, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's the only film by this guy. He only did one film, and he's a special effects guy, and it has the kid who plays the oldest vampire in Near Dark with Bill Paxton. Remember the young kid, Homer? He's actually the oldest vampire. He's older than Lance Hendrickson. He's in this movie. Bobcat, whatever his face is in this movie. Yeah. John Glover's in this movie. I mean, this movie is bizarre. Oh, Juliette Lewis's first film. And there is a dance number. There's a song. Because I think every cult film has to have a song, you know, which is why I feel like you guys are like the perfect soundtrack for something. Just hasn't happened yet. Something somewhere. But listen, I'm like a greedy, talking about pigs one last time, piggy pies. I've been a greedy person. I've taken so much of your time, and I'm really grateful for it. Thank you. Truly. This has been such a treat for me as a big fan of you guys. And I just want to say, honestly, thank you for the wonderful music. Truly. It's phenomenal music that really, it's so theatrical. It paints such a picture in your mind when you're listening to it. And I think the biggest crime in the world is that you guys have not invaded America and conquered it, because I really feel like the right show, I mean, maybe pre-COVID, because COVID has kind of like fucked everything up, but like pre-COVID that you guys, like with the right shows, right bookings, right shows, like would have made such a splash, and still maybe in the future you will. Truly. Never say never.
Stranger Things is
You're American and we're both English. I think you're expecting us to like come back with some sort of like, yeah, and we both
yes, I am. Yes. No, but you want to know something? Listen, I truly believe this. This is, again, you know, I'm a Misfits nerd. All I do all day is talk about Glenn Danzig and Jerry Only, are my favorite people. I call them Uncle Glenn and Uncle Jerry. And here's what I truly believe. I truly believe after the year 2016, I think anything in the world is possible, because if Glenn and Jerry can share a stage after all that bad blood, that there's enough money in the world, that there are people that will actually pay them enough money that they're willing to consider to get on stage together, even though that they hate each other's guts and play together. Like, I don't think anything's impossible in life. I think anything is impossible, because that literally was impossible. There was nothing more.
That was never going to happen.
That was never. And, you know, people are like, oh, Guns N' Roses is reuniting. That's cute. Forget, you know, everybody's like, oh, the Eagles. That was a bit, yeah, whatever. Like the Misfits, like that was the greatest reunion of all time. The greatest. And so if that could happen, anything could happen. Anything is possible, you guys. That's how we have to think about this. You know, yeah, it's like what does Tom Hanks say in Castaway? Do you remember what Tom Hanks says in Castaway?
Help.
No, no, that's what John Lennon says. Help. No, he doesn't say Wilson. He says you always have to go to the beach. When the sun rises, you got to go to the beach and see what the tide brings in. Remember? Because he's going to off himself, because there's no hope of getting off the island. And then one day he gets the sail, and the sail is just enough wind to get him over the wave and get him out onto the sea. And then he loses Wilson. So that's what we have to remember. Oh my God. Thank you. Seriously. Thank you guys so much for doing this. You guys rule. And I will find a reason or an excuse to have you back on sometime in the future so that I can listen to your incredible accents and hear you guys talk, because you guys are awesome. And
thanks. That was lots of fun.
Oh
let's
my
talk
God.
about making a film.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hold on. Let's say, hold on. First, we're going to say peace and hair grease. Okay. Now the show is over.